So dishwasher is very high on the list, and it would. And in addition to the dishwasher, the hospitality team has said they really need a garbage disposal in that sink. They do their very best, and interesting. One of the feedbacks about getting a garbage disposal said, well, we compost. We want to compost. Well, this does not. They are very serious about composting, but once you have wiped dishes and collected lots of gunk, it really is better for the sewer system to avoid problems to put the final leavings through a garbage disposal. So in fact, we have a fairly accurate bid. I think that's true, Chris, of about $6,000 for combination of dishwasher and garbage disposal and reworking of the plumbing in there to make that compatible. So that's one of the things. Other things, a lot of people at the envisioning and talking about welcoming this community, we'd like the building to look good from the outside to the extent that we can. And one of the suggestions has been, can we do something about the front doors? The doors look like they're walking into, don't look like they're walking into a spiritual space. They're not very inviting. We have and I don't know whether I should, the person is here, may I mention?
Should we have him say?
Yes, would you like to say?
Thank you. Is this on? Okay, great. Dick Walters and I are willing to, basically, we've gone full circle. If you go to like the door and window store, these are odd-sized doors. And you've got these steel frames. It's just too much to mess with. You go to like door and window store or anything else, you can't buy anything off the shelf and cut it down even because of the 44-inch width and all. And they are talking $1,800 to $3,500 easily per door type of thing. We have been kicking around, going back and forth, and finally I think what we're settling in on is wood cladding the front door with a nice cedar. I've got a biscuit cutter, to do a glue up where you put little wooden discs in, and then and it would look quite nice. And that way, we will cut in a window area, and they'll decide on whether they want a clear, an opaque, a diffused, or a stained glass, or whatever. And then we'll wood clad the front door and faux finish the Davis Hall door. And we can probably pull off the front door, wooden hardware and this, that, and the other. And I don't know about the window glass now, but you're looking at maybe $500 or $600 type of thing. And that's just materials costs. And Dick and I are happy to do the work and all. And I don't know about the faux finishing, what that would be about, but I can't imagine it'd be that much. We're probably going to get it done on a volunteering basis or something. So at the outside, I would say, hopefully maybe $1,000 we could rehab both doors.
Right.
So we have volunteers who are willing to actually do this. The other significant area we've discussed is some landscaping. The specific project that we have in mind at the moment, and there are a number of bids to do this, is to do something to beautify this landscaping.
Use the microphone?
To landscape the north side of the building out here, the Whipple side. And a suggestion has been to basically, in this environment, it's appropriate to xeriscape it. So to basically probably bring in decorative rock, build some sort of a pathway around from the parking lot to the front, because many people won't go around the back. So that's under discussion. The details of that are not completely clear. We have a number of bids that seem like they fit into the our $50,000 project fund. So that, and ideas about the details of that are very much, want to be solicited, you know, if we do that. I think Zebrascape is the company that has given one of the
Zebra.
bids. Is it Zebra?
Zebra.
I think I said, I first said Zeroscape, and then I said Zebrascape, yes, is one of the companies that has bidded. But at any rate, make this part of the building look good from people driving by. And also, the other suggestion has been that would not cost that much, is to put some banners on the wall of that building that say what we are. We are a multi-faith community, perhaps symbols and things that indicate this is a special building. This isn't an Oddfellows home anymore. This is a special building, and perhaps a banner that might be earth-centered, Granite Peak symbol or whatever. Chris Hawthorne has agreed to draw up some ideas about a specific model. This would not cost a huge amount of money, but it would improve the look of that building. I think, and this could be a controversial suggestion, but one of the things that has been suggested is we should probably take these trashy elm trees, including the one that is falling down into the park, that's threatening to fall down in the parking lot. Those probably need to come out of there and do some sort of planted trees. And in the process, one of the proposals that fits in the budget is to bring electricity and water around this side so that those plantings could not only be kept alive, but also some sort of decorative lighting that would light our lovely sign out there that says what we are, so people driving by at night can see it, see what we are, and also say, whoa, maybe we should go in there. So landscaping this north side is. Now, let me say that we've said from the beginning that we're looking at near-term projects. People are also looking at what's the longer-term future. And so we're talking about near-term now. We would love to be able to redo the parking lot. You know, it needs to be done. And we actually have bids and ideas about doing that. It wouldn't fit into this immediate term. This is something we would have to consider as part of the next stage in terms of, you know, doing things in the sanctuary and so forth. So banners. One thing we've talked about that we'd love to do is to get some playground equipment for the kids over there. We took the old one out because it was falling down and had slivers. It was not safe. It also, at any rate, so that old playground equipment is no longer there. They have a swing set over there, but they don't really have a playground facility. We're looking at that. I don't know whether it would fit in, and I've asked Sandra to look into some possibilities that might fit in the budget. Not sure about that. Let's see. Oh, one very high thing, I think, right under the dishwasher is sound equipment. We had a problem yesterday at the memorial service and I don't know exactly what the source of it is, but I know frequently our equipment is failing back there. It's old, it's failing, so a new soundboard and a computer that would coordinate with it. And my understanding, and perhaps Fred Krapps may be able or could comment about, apparently there is an interface that can go between a soundboard and the computer that makes it much better appearing up here. Your pointer doesn't move around and you're not constantly seeing what the guy back there is doing. You're just seeing what they're. Am I correct about that?
Yeah. And what's happening with that board that we have presently back there is it's really pretty old, and the components are beginning to break down, and it's causing Martin. Martin marvelously is finding workarounds right now, but we won't be able to continue doing that forever. And so we'd like, Martin is looking at a whole package for us. Martin, do you want to talk about it at all? Yeah?
I'm going around to different churches, and later this week, still meeting with a few people, so I'll have to get back with you. But yeah, I've been
Right.
looking at a lot of equipment.
Tony Dennis, is it
Andy
Andy
Dennis.
Dennis, who is an audiophile, an expert, has, what we've asked them to do is look at equipment that would be that would serve us now and improve the situation now, but also be directly adaptable to whatever we end up doing in a future
In the future.
change with the.
Yeah.
with
And we'd probably be switching over. Right now, we're doing everything's, we're using analog equipment back there. And so we'll probably be switching over to a digital setup now. That'll take us far into the future.
So
So that's basically where we're looking right at this point. So we're meeting with Andy, I believe, this Friday, is it not? Yeah, this Friday. And so we'll have a little better package by the beginning of next week in terms of that.
Right, right. Let's see. Now, the teams have looked at a lot of other things. I think almost everybody in the room can think of more things. I know everybody wants to change the carpet, at least that's, and we would love to do that, but our feeling is that needs to be based on a decision about what we're going to do with the sanctuary. And a board goal this year is to make a final decision. What are we going to do with the sanctuary? We're going to keep this structure the same. Once that decision is made, we can then do a fundraiser to do the changes that are necessary, change the carpet is on everybody's list. If we decide to raise the roof, then the carpet needs to come after the roof is raised, right? That's the reason for the delay. But the board does have a goal, and we will be coming to the congregation for a final decision this board year, which ends
So you see that happening in
June
May.
31st. Yeah, I think, I would say before or at the May meeting or something of that sort. We need to make that decision. Everybody's, so some people are saying, oh, please, let's do something now. And everybody else is saying, and other people are saying, we want to do, we want to do everything. So anyway, that's where we stand. Specifically for next week, we need a vote of approval to go ahead with these projects that I've discussed. And I want to emphasize, we need a 51% quorum, and I think the latest number I heard, that we have about 138 members on our membership list. That could be plus or minus one or two. So we need 51% quorum to do the business, either in person, on Zoom, or with a proxy. And we will need a 67% vote of that quorum to approve this project. So that's why we're appealing to you to please come, pay attention, and so forth. Yeah. Okay. I'm finished except for questions. Yes, Jack?
Yes, Rick, you were mentioning the cost associated with the dishwasher, $6,000, the front doorway, probably $1,000. Do you have costs for the exterior landscaping, display equipment, and the sound equipment?
We have approximate figures, and actually, Wilfred, do you have those figures, or?
Yes, I do.
I think
Fred
17,000.
has a microphone.
Okay, yeah.
First of all, I would like to note that some people that were, like Kathleen Schaefer, started some landscaping bids and tried to, and got 3, but she was looking more at trying to make this place look pretty and not do major things to it, which was a very good job. And she got 3 bids for that, which was good. And then Norma and I took over and didn't know that you had the bids there, so we apologize that we didn't know that. And then Tefra, we had her come in and look at the water tank out here. And she brought in her specialist, and he looked at it and said, well, that's not really very functional. It really needs to go out somewhere else, or because when it gets no rain, you don't get any water, and you can't water things and keep things alive. So I want to make a note that we did not exclude, we tried to include all the people we could, which is really good with the board. The board has done an excellent job. I've only been here 2 months now from signing the book, and I've seen a lot of stuff happening. And they're doing a really great job, and they're trying to get input from people. So when we're saying the board, or he's saying the board, making the decision, it's meaning we can't do anything without your support in doing something. It's not us making the decision, it's what you want. And so I want to make a couple of points on that. And in real estate, when you look at it, your two biggest things you want to do to improve your property, and you can think of this as your home. And one of the things you want to do is a kitchen. The kitchen's the most important, and the landscaping for curb appeal. And so those are two big things we want to look at. And we've gotten some bids we've gone down and talked to Waters, and they said you need water to keep those plants alive and the trees. If you don't have that, they're going to die. That was the first thing they said you have to have, or don't buy the plants and don't get any trees. We got bids from Zebrascape, Kaler, and Prescott Landscape Professionals. And so we got some major people, and we can go out and get bids all day long, but if we don't have any money, we can't, it's wasting my time to bring them in here and have them do all these bids and break things down.
I think one thing,
Sure.
we sort of decided at the meeting that about $17,000 is kind of what the near-term suggestion was, just to answer Jack's question specifically.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Previous things about the need for parking lot and lighting. Is that contained in the
Yeah, let me give you a quick idea what we're looking at. I wanted to give you that preview first because I thought that's important to get a background to what we're saying. We're looking at doing the bed over here and down this where the street is ends on that side, and that's where we're looking at 17 grand just for that, because some of the things you got to do, or we're thinking you need to do, is take down the trees, bring some water in, bring some electricity in. We don't have anything on this side of the building to work with. So we're basically talking about that end for about 17 grand. Now, if you want to give more, the congregation wants to give more, there are things we can do in the back parking lot. I think you're looking at about $10,000, 9,000 something for lights. You're looking at
That is a separate.
that's our phase two. Yes, that's our phase two, because we can't do it. I've got $49,000 that we could do the whole back and real nice. It'll cost us about $5 grand to do the front over here. Let's see, it was 5 and 5, but you need 5 more for the side over here. You need about 15, I think it's about 15 for a parking lot.
I think for today, we need to focus on just the specifics that we're asking for. Yes, there are wonderful plans to do more that would require fundraising later as part of the later plan. But yeah, I think, yeah.
We're looking at taking down the pole,
Yeah.
the trees, put some new trees, one or two more, depending on what we got to work with. Any other questions on landscaping? Yes, sir.
Parking lot, are you talking about paving it?
No. We're talking about,
And again, we're not suggesting that immediately because we don't have the money available to do that.
not at this time, but
Yeah.
it would not be paving at that price. It would be putting down something solid and then another grade over it. Yeah, I don't have the exact words right in front of me. I'm sorry?
I said that's not within the purview of this project.
No.
Right.
We're just looking at the side and the front.
Right.
Yeah.
Could Could I make one more? I left one significant project out, and that is to improve the lighting both in the RE building. I know that people who work over in the RE building or whatever, there are multiple lights out. They're bad ballasts and so forth. So we've been very seriously, we have a bid actually to replace the, all of the lighting over in the RE building with LEDs. And that comes to about $3,000 to do that. We have run, and we wanted to do the same thing in Davis Hall. The Davis Hall lighting is is a hodgepodge. Almost all of the tubes are a different color. Some are, and the 3 are totally out. We'd like to get those unified, and the ideal would be to go LED there, and that was the hope that we could do that. We have run into a problem. It turns out that those fixtures, when they were put in, were not put in according to any kind of modern code. There's no grounding of those, and let's see, what's the other? I'm just going to tell you, they are shop lights that have a 3-prong plug, and there was originally a screw connection for an incandescent light, and a short period of piece of lamp cord was jury-rigged to make a screw-in and a female 3-prong plug. So that's what is done. So this is up in the air as to what we can do in the Davis Hall lighting, and we're really looking at alternatives. And it may be that we're going to have to do some rewiring in Davis Hall for those lightings. Yeah.
And we're thinking that will come out of a different pocket.
There is, yes, we have, yeah.
I just want to say, can we move this along a little quicker?
Yeah.
Because let's just limit it to what we're doing, voting on for next Sunday.
Yes,
Jack asked for the
That's 12
cost of the
already.
system and stuff.
yes,
Numbers, and let's go.
yes.
Could you?
We're going to do what we can. So what the board is asking is approval to go ahead and spend up to $50,000 to do some things that are needed. We can't do everything, but that's the question we're going to be asking. That's all I have to say. Dick.
Could you just restate what we're voting on next week? So we kind of got off in the weeds, so if we could just,
Yeah.
just state what we're at.
Okay, obviously the specific vote will be, or request will be written down. So if I may not be able to speak the precise wording, but I think essentially the board is going to ask the congregation to approve up to $50,000 in unbudgeted, undesignated funds toward a series of projects.
Yeah.
Yes.
Following up on that, could this be just briefly but correctly written down and sent out as early as possible so we have it in a piece of paper in our hands as to what we're talking and voting on? I'd appreciate that.
I will be discussing that with Tracy, and an email will go out as soon as possible this next week.
Isn't that something that's in our bylaws that we ought to do?
Yes. Yes. And we're making every effort to get that information out.
Rick, a couple of questions back here were what you just stated for the vote for next Sunday. Will you be outlining what those projects are that will be included in the 50,000? Or are you just asking the congregation to vote on a $50,000 expenditure for projects to be outlined later?
That's a very good question. We are doing our very best to get the best estimates we can, but we don't have absolute estimates. I think what we will do, I would say at the board meeting this next week, we should prioritize those things that we are asking and saying this is our priority. We're going to, and if we come to the bottom and have already spent money on, if we have 6 items and we say we want to do 6, and we come to 5 and we don't have enough money, we're saying $15,000 is the limit. We're going to have to wait on that one. That's my view. Yes?
I'm not that familiar with how our governance works. So who's going to decide exactly what projects end up getting done and how they get done? Is that the board? Is the board make those?
I think we are asking the board to have that. We are elected to make decisions about expenditures for the organization. We've been elected, and part of our duty is to be fiscally responsible. So I think the board will do that now. And I think some of these projects, like the dishwasher, is pretty straightforward. Things like the landscaping, we're going to need input from people to work out the details.
But
right?
who's hired and what exactly gets done will be decided
Would be the
by
board's
the board.
decision, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I have another question. Sorry. I assume, but I don't want to assume anything, that the board has looked at our budget and that none of these items are already budgeted for.
Yeah, absolutely. The finance, we have a finance committee that advises to the board. The finance committee, as was pointed out, is a very conservative committee. We're not about to overspend anything on this church. And so we've taken a very serious look at it, and those monies that are coming out of there are monies that we can afford.
And they're not budgeted.
Right. And are not presently budgeted, right,
So we
yes.
don't have anything in the budget for the sound system?
No,
Anything in the
no.
budget for lighting and RE?
Right.
With the inside things being done come before any of the outside things? Because it'd be great to get them in, but if they come in and it looks like they don't want to stay here, then that's kind of defeating the purpose. So would the inside things like the lighting and all that stuff, would that be prioritized?
I don't. I think we would, again, that decision has not been made, but my feeling is you probably get them done as you can find people to do them at the price that is available to be done. And all of these things, I think, are reasonable things to do over the next 6-8 months. So I don't think it's a matter, I think the ideal is to have everything done on day one, and I understand your point, but I don't, from a practical point of view, I don't know that that's quite practical.
I see.
Utter silence. Whenever there, I'm not a parliamentarian. We will have a parliamentarian with us next week. And incidentally, I want to thank Bobby Bollinger personally for all her efforts that she's made in the last 24 hours to arrange for the details of that meeting. But, it's wonderful to be president. I can ask somebody to do it. There will be a motion to vote and then open for discussion. I think that would be the appropriate.
You talked about priorities. Would it make sense to categorize certain areas like safety, security, aesthetics, general categories to which we can fit the specific projects? No, I don't mean you need to say that now. I'm just saying, I'm suggesting that the board take a look at it. If we've got a safety issue, if we have a safety issue, that's got to come first.
Right, right.
Whether we just found out about it or whether
Right.
we knew about it for a long time.
And then security has always been an issue which we sort of kicked around. We had a late member who was a police officer who sat in that corner armed. He had a handgun in his leg holster. So if anybody came in and misbehaved, he was ready to deal with it. That didn't sit well with a lot of us. So we need to talk about security, I think. And that's, the rest of it is what anybody else wants, and I know there's a lot of opinions.
I want to tell anybody who is alarmed that he has now passed, is not in this world, and is not sitting back there. And in our first community chat, we actually did talk about the security and safety, and that meeting, that committee has been gathering and doing workshops. We're good with that.
We have a good safety committee
We
now,
have a
too,
great
and a
safety
person who's not carrying arms, but is very attendant to,
I've heard
Brian
a lot
Willison.
of, I've heard a lot of people saying we're good with what Rick has said. And because there was a complaint that we didn't open up to if somebody else has something else, we're finished with this subject for now. But is there something else? Our Social Justice Council was thinking of presenting something about what we're thinking of for the Brownlee Fund, but we're not doing that yet, and we want more input. So if you have questions about that, join our team and give us input and we'll make a presentation at the next community chat. So is there anything anyone wants to bring out? I think the person who complained is not here today, but if there is something, I just want to make sure that you can bring something up. Okay, so now we really get to extinguish our chalice. So who can remember the words?
we extinguish this chalice without,
But not the light of truth,
the warmth of committee,
the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. Those we keep in our hearts
until we are together again. You're all members. Thank you very much.